gonna dip in your hip and glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is Rift Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Welcome everybody to Becon in the Dark on the Rift Nation Network. I am one of your hosts, Susan Swanbeck, and down below we have
Marci.
So today I had a couple ideas of what we want to talk about, but first I want to let you guys know that this episode of Rift Nation Network has been brought to you by Ghost of Staunton, Booze Paranormal Equipment, and SS Crystal and Crafts. So don't forget, check out all of the sponsors of the Rift Nation Network. So a couple things I run across, but then I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I says, but there's something else on my mind. And for the past 3 days, I want to know if any of you out there have felt this. For like the past 3 days, I feel like I'm in like a waking dream. It's really weird. Like the whole thing is strange because I feel like I'm sleeping, but I know I'm awake at the same time. So, and when I was driving home, I'm trying to drive when we went to go get seafood, and I'm trying to drive, and I'm closing my eyes and open them, and I got these freaking runes flashing in pink and blue right in front of me when I'm trying to drive. They're like bind runes, which is two runes put together for a multi-purpose. So I found that really strange. Is anybody else feel like, I don't know, like your head's in a cloud, or do you feel like you're maybe shifting, or you're in two separate worlds, or you just can't seem to pinpoint what's going on? Like, there's no reason for you to be okay, you have been running around like a chicken with the head cut
Well,
off all week, but
that's what I was telling Susan.
yeah.
We time travel, and when we time travel, it's like things will fall in front of us. We'll get a loss of time. We'll trip over things. There's like these whole things about time traveling that goes on where I've had things to
I
solve.
think with me, it's more along the lines of feeling like I'm two places at once,
Well, that could be time travel. We
or
could choose.
dimensional travel, or
Yeah,
alternate universes.
we could travel 4 or 5 different places all at the same time.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
it's just, to me, it's just so weird.
well, that's because it'll get normal for you, because it'll be
Yeah.
a feeling of, like I remember when I used to drive when I was first starting to do this, I'd have the telepathy, I'd have all this other stuff, and Melissa, who I was doing this journey with, who I started off with, she was getting worried. And I'm going, I'm more in my body when I'm more multitasking, because
Yeah.
other than that, I get bored and I check out. So a lot of
Yeah.
times there's
See,
people,
I'm not like that.
well,
It
yeah, it's
it
just
doesn't
one
matter
thing.
where I am or what I'm doing. I've had the same feeling for 3 days. And some things kind of like feel off to me. And then some things will be pretty normal. But it's like, I it's really, it's a strange aspect to try to figure out, to put it into words.
As you're going to get, I
Yeah.
like the saying that says, the veil isn't uncovered. We're just getting more and more multidimensional. You're going through a lot of transitions, Ethan. With the toes or the healing or your crocheting, whatever you want to call it, you're in
Yeah.
this whole meditative state. And then that's where your whole body is like, it's centered. And
Yeah.
so it's like, we're more aware. They say with the clear waters, you know, it's
Right.
like the bubbling waters. We can't, when we're angry, we're not focused, whatever it is that goes on. Somebody's already starting to tone to me. But it's like you're getting more and more centered. And as you're getting more and more centered, then you probably have done this a lot, but you're just now getting more aware of it.
I'm also more tired. It's ridiculous.
Now, that's normal with ascension
Yeah.
because I would go take naps or I would go take baths.
I don't have time.
Well, it's not a matter whether you have time or not. It's just my guys would like go take a nap, go,
Yeah.
and then I would go and I'll watch TV with Travis, and we're watching Doctor Who or whatever it is going on, and he'll know, he's like, "You're starting to fall asleep," and I realized I went back into all these different shows I used to watch with ancient
Yeah.
aliens. I go, it's not a matter of me being tired. It's almost like the energy I'm going somewhere, or I'm
Yeah,
asleep.
it's like my battery is on low. I don't know how else to put it. My spiritual energy is high, but my physical energy is
Right,
very
and
low.
that happens a lot because your body is adjusting to the ascension. So a lot of times we have more appetites, and a lot of times we're getting more tired
Yeah.
because our body is, it's like a car tuning itself up to adjust to the high frequencies or the different dimensions or the different energies that are going on.
Right. It could be. Yeah.
It's an emotional workout, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
that's just my suggestion. This is all stuff I've gone through, I've
Yeah.
read, you know.
I mean, I've been through like ascensions and stuff before, but this is just,
It
I'm
never
so tired
stops.
of being tired. You know, some
Oh, I
people say, oh
know.
my God, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm just
Oh,
tired of being
yeah.
tired.
Oh, I know. I
I
mean,
really
the,
am.
the last
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks, I was dealing with bankruptcy. I was dealing with my car, and it was like the title got mixed up, and I'm like, I'm just tired, and it's almost like I had to work through it and release it. It Things are coming together, but that's what we do. We get sick and tired of being sick and tired because I'm like, am I cursed? Why is it one thing is right after another? And I just
Yeah,
had
my
to
son
sit
used
with
to
it.
say the same thing like that. He used to say, when one thing breaks, two more have to break with it. So
Right,
it's like in our family, things always come in threes, come in threes.
right.
But I was watching hello, Miss Michelle Caps. I was watching this thing, and I'm saying, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Like people that are individuals, whether it's male or female, and if you notice that somebody is constantly, oh, sorry, 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 it's because they were either mentally or physically abused. That's like one
Right. I did that. I
of the
would
main
always apologize for
signs.
everything.
Right. So it's like that's one of the signs. They're constantly them sorry. They don't consider themselves beautiful in any way, shape, or form. And everything in the world seems to be their fault because they're used to taking the psychological guilt for this. Now, this doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female,
Right.
but you'll notice the traits that in certain things and issues that we need to work through because we're starting to do it again. We're starting to say, I'm sorry nonstop. And it's like, hey, it wasn't your fault. You didn't do it. It's like, but you have this like habit of always saying sorry or, feeling guilty if somebody gets hurt, like it was your fault and it wasn't. Or if something goes wrong, automatically it's always you. So there's a bunch of different aspects of that as well. So I watched a short video on that one. I found that one interesting.
Yeah, they had characteristics of abuse. And the one that hit me home, because I'd buy my dad like little statues saying, I love you.
Right.
Then I flashed on my mom and I on Father's Day. She wanted me to buy him a card. And I'm like, he doesn't act like a father. And we had kind of like this standstill. But it's like this whole giving thing, it's like you feel like you have to earn that love.
Yeah.
And my dad would always complain about the meat was cut. There was always something wrong that my mom did in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I bought my mom like a meat cutter. I would buy these things as far as what was going on. And I remember one time he'd give my sister like the gas card. And one time he decided to give it to me. And my mom's like, oh, take it. Like it's supposed to be a big honor, even though, we get mistreated while the other ones, that book that I read, When Parents Love Too Much, they will they'll find a person to invest in, one of the children. And what happens is the children end up that love too much, they end up resenting it, or they end up having entitled, because they're not asked to be invested in, but it's this whole guilt thing about the other people that have had to work for it, and no matter what, it's never enough.
Exactly. And that brings us into what some individuals like to call middle child syndrome. Now, here's the question. Is say if you have a family, we have one brother that's older, an older sister, and then like the next one down is a girl, and then two younger girls. Now, are there two middle siblings or one? Because we have the oldest girl, the younger girl, the middle girl, and only one boy. So technically, do you have two older children there? I've always wondered that. Is there two
That's a
middle
good thing to
or
find out.
one?
Well, when I was in therapy, because one sister took on the really male role, the one that was favored,
Uh,
and the other one took on the female role, but they were both very, very aggressive and had to be center of attention. So
right,
when I was in therapy, it was like my therapist said there was no place for you. The roles have already been taken.
right.
And so, but people have their own individuality, or they will adjust. If one person leaves, then the other one will take over.
Right.
Or what I read, which made a lot of sense with our parents' personalities will be different on different aspects of themselves, responding to each child differently to whatever it is that was going on,
Yeah.
which I thought
I
was
mean,
interesting.
in some ways, I understand that aspect, only because I do have a child with special needs, so I understand that you have to kind of react to them differently, because it's the way their brain processes information.
Right.
So you learn to go with it. And then of course the other children are like, yeah,
Right.
really? How come? Like, so you get caught up in that whole war is what you get caught up in. I got some of these things that are coming off that drive me nuts. So you get caught up in that whole aspect. Now, me, I was the oldest girl, but I do have an older brother. But my older brother was the type to come get me if there was a problem with the younger sisters. So technically, I would have to say I was kind of put in the position of the
You were the
oldest.
adult.
So yeah, I was the oldest, even though technically by age I'm not. That was the role I was in all the time.
I have my
Yeah,
friend Sherry. I'm still friends with her, and she had 14 kids,
right.
and
Wow,
her daughter was good friends with my daughter, but the oldest daughter, Stephanie,
right.
even though there were three other brothers, it was like she was always the adult, where I had to take care of all the kids that were going on.
Exactly. It's sometimes it's the what they call middle child syndrome has nothing to do with whether or not you're the child in the middle. It has
Right.
more to do with the fact um, the type of responsibility you've actually had. So because technically I would be considered a middle child, but mentality wise, I don't have the middle child syndrome because I've always been the oldest in mind, is what I say, not in age, but in mind, I have that. So I could have ended up like with the middle child syndrome because we have the only boy and then we have the baby and I'm somewhere in the middle with another girl, but I don't have that. I because I was always the one doing this stuff. And, so I don't know. To me, it's different. So I don't know if you guys have been raised in the family. Are you considered like firstborn, baby, middle child, only child? There's another one where if somebody is an only child, they say that psychologically that's an issue as well. So my nephew is an only child, but he doesn't have that entitled only child syndrome. He works for everything he has and always has. He's always great at getting stuff done. So it's like that nature versus nurture type thing. We're jumping all over the topics today.
Well,
Hello, Linda.
we're talking about
Life.
roles. Like my sister, the oldest sister, lived in my parents' house till she was 36.
Wow.
But she was mentally like 12 years old. And I'm going to
Okay.
tell mom on you, you
Okay.
know.
Right.
And she pulled like punches on me. I remember driving one time with her. We went to a lake, and I lived in Berkeley. She was in Oakland. And she decided that because I didn't read her order, she wasn't giving me gas money. And
I'm sorry.
so I'm
She's
scrounging around.
older. She was
She's
definitely the
older,
younger
yeah,
mentality. Yeah.
you know. And I scrounged around trying to get gas to get her home. Didn't talk to her for 5 years. And it was still like you think that she would change, but because there's nothing to have them grow up or
Yes.
be responsible,
Right.
it's still like, and she looked like Morgan Fairchild, so the world had to revolve around her, you know, and it was just stomach liposuction, tummy tucked, all this other stuff that was going on. And I was thrown as being the adult, like give my dad the toy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
buying my mom a meat cutter, or this whole placating about when I would call whether she could talk to me or not. I mean, all these different cues as to the different roles, the different energies that are going on
Exactly.
that
See,
are happening.
age itself has nothing to do with whether we consider ourselves the elder or the baby. It doesn't have to do with age. It just has to do with the roles that we kind of grew up in. Now, some of us, okay, I have dot 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 dot. Yeah, so it's different. Like we were saying, Linda, I am in the middle, but I act more like an older child than a middle child. So it's like age, I don't think has a lot to do with
It
how we
has
act.
nothing to do with it. It has to do with
Exactly.
what
So
you
I
have to
have
do.
two children that I consider act like the baby of the family. Okay. And then I have a kind of like a middle child who act like an older child. So it's really, it's just kind of like how things just progressed. And I raised them all the same.
It
They
does
all
make
had
a
the same
difference.
rules.
They're all different
Yeah,
in how they're going to respond to things.
exactly.
And it all depends on what it is that was going on. I had my train of thought, but I forgot it. And they said it's like when we're anxious or stressed, we'll hear things differently. So our parents may say something differently,
Exactly.
and that's what I went through with my daughter. Well, you said
Right.
this. I'm like, well, you did this. Whatever it is that was going on. So it all depends on how they respond to you, how they have you, whether they're picking you as a favorite, whether they're invested in you, whether
Exactly.
it there's all these different factors. It doesn't have to do with how old you are, or it just depends on. Sometimes you're thrown into being the adult,
Exactly.
and
Now
some people say careful.
to this, I want to add one more into this mix. Okay, we're going to confuse the heck out of Linda Nielsen because she's already at the dot 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 stage.
What's this
Now,
about that?
I don't know. I think it's either confusion or type. I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. So let's add one more into this. With everybody awakening and the fact that they've started CERN, and I am a true believer in dimensional shifts. We can shift from one dimension to another and have like slight, or you can do a multi shift where you can have a major things that nobody else could figure out. It's like some people will say you did this and this, but you didn't do it. But if you know that you've shifted, okay, your consciousness shifts to another you in an alternate universe, those things that they're saying you did that you didn't do, or you did do that you didn't do, is like put into question psychologically. So, on top of all of the psychological issues of dealing with like abuse, or whether you were the middle, the oldest, of the baby, let's add dimensional shift into this.
Or past lives,
Yes, both. Actually, let's add both in.
because they're all
Let's
together
add
anyway.
past lives and dimensional shifts. Now, how the heck do you figure this all out? It's like there's so much going on where normally it's like people will say, you used to do, and I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
they say like
that could explain a lot that just happened here all the time. That was Linda. Let's pop that one up. Yes, and that's what it is. It's that dimensional shift. It's like you could swear up and down. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, my son says, oh my God, he says, you kill plants, you kill plants. I haven't killed plants, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with somebody because, as far as I remember, I never killed these plants. So I just let it go because to me, it's okay. Maybe I shifted. I did notice a couple of things were off. JR and I noticed the color of something was off in his house. I forgot what it was. I think it was a candle. It was one color, and then when it's like the next morning we woke up and it's a totally different color. And he didn't change it, but we both remembered the old color. Now, here goes back into this again. We're going to add in Monopoly. Monopoly game
You're
had
old,
a
Susan.
monocle. It had a monocle when I was growing up. And I swear up and down it never did. Okay? I am still, every time I go to a secondhand store, I'm looking for a Monopoly that got through with a monocle. I look for them in yard sales too. So it's a proven fact. We've shifted. How many of us have shifted? Are our memories the same when we psychologically shift? They can't be, because we lived different, even if everything could be the same. Like my sister in elementary school, she fractured her arm so bad the bone went right through her skin. What if I shift into a reality that never happened, but I have the memory? Glasses. Ah, okay. Did your glasses change color? Is that what it is? She says glasses, question mark.
Well, one of the things that I read, and I've worked on people with schizophrenia, is the theory on the schizophrenia is we have filters in our pineal gland.
Right.
But theirs is open. So they're not filtering, so they're able to speak different languages,
Right.
have different personalities, have it where whatever it is that's going on, we're shifting our different energies, lifetimes,
Right.
whatever it is that goes on. And depending on what we need to do, if we're in the panic state, one part of our aspect comes out.
Monocle.
Yeah.
Sorry, monocles. Yes, monocle. One monocle is what he had. I confused her. She goes, no. Are monocles glasses? No, I meant monocles. I couldn't think of the name at the time. But thank you. They're called monocles, yes, on Monopoly. Sorry, go ahead. I'm obsessed with this.
Susan, I feel like people need to release stuff. It's like surfacing.
Yes.
I need to do some tones.
Yes.
It's almost like
it's frustrating.
Well, we're so many different aspects, and we're so many different personalities, and people just think, oh, we're just one, and we're supposed to lose our memory, or we do as we ascend, because we're supposed to live in the now. We're not supposed to remember those things. That's why it's like, what are you talking about? You know? Oh, you got your crystal ready?
I've got 3 going right here. We'll see how that works.
All right. Somebody's energy just pinged. It was weird.
And you just had a flash of light behind you. In between,
well,
like,
I couldn't have affected myself. I mean, Raven took a picture of me and I was like all white.
Huh.
That's like the higher self, the stereo self, you know. All of a sudden I'll start doing light language in the middle of the night, or they'll tell me to do light language. It's just whatever aspects that are around that are going on.
Yeah.
I got to hit a low one. And I'm getting balanced, so the as above and below energy that goes on. I was literally seeing a vortex when I was doing that. Was anybody feeling it or releasing it or feeling lighter?
I don't know.
Well,
I think Linda's still talking about the Monopoly aspect. She doesn't remember the monocle. It wasn't a special edition. Everybody had it. But some of us, I guess they call us from the old earth, will remember that. So it's really weird. But how is everybody feeling since we're releasing multi different things that actually happen?
We're realigning.
Yes. We're trying to combine psychological issues of either being psychologically mistreated, along with the middle child syndrome, a shift in reality and past lives all at once. So we're trying to get ourselves into a more stable type thing rather than going, what's that? Like these new animals that are out with all these colors. They've always been there. No, they haven't. I've never seen them, and I'm 59.
Yeah, we got it's
Yeah.
funny. It's in the backyard. It was like we had kittens last year, and I was hanging out with Kathy, so we were able to see the kittens because her dog was into it. My neighbor upstairs is like, "You have kittens in your backyard." I'm like, "Well, I never go back there because Travis has it." But Travis like, "Oh yeah," so now I'm starting to feed the kittens because they usually feel the energy.
Right.
It's like they've got. I saw them at 6 o'clock in the morning after I fed them. Now that I know that they're there,
Right.
you know. So they've got water. They were all prancing around. It was really fun to watch.
Well, they can catch the mice for you in case there's any field mice around.
Yeah. Well, we got the mice trap. You know.
All right. What is Linda saying here? Linda is saying, felt the tone on the first one. Cycling the middle in my front torso, just from under my neck to the lower part of my torso. The second tone was more over the top of my torso, vibrating to my arms. Ooh,
Wow.
very nice. Thank you. So we have like different levels that we're actually talking about. This doesn't matter whether you're a guy or a girl, because when we grow up, there can be psychological and physical damage to both male and female. It doesn't really matter what gender you were born as, because psychologically, the damages are still there. They're still kind of the same. So, and that's why a lot of us, like I said in the beginning, will react slightly differently. What the heck is that?
I
Another
had
call.
a friend of mine named Jay that was a hermaphrodite. Which, what are you mouthing?
Huh? What
The
is
both
that?
sexes. The both sexes, and the
Oh,
father wanted the male
right,
type of stuff, and so tried to, I guess, operate on him. But
right.
it's funny about his preference was more to be a female. So it's
Ah,
just kind of interesting. The energy, the IQ was like 180. I
wow.
mean, really interesting, high Wiccan person.
Right,
Uh, but it's just I had to have a lot of male energy to protect myself.
right,
I put that wall up type of energy, and so my friends would gauge as I'm getting more calmer, I'm able to get that more feminine side.
right,
But we'll do whatever we need to do to protect that energy as to what we are or what they want us to be, or
right.
you know. So it's
So,
funny
yeah,
how we shift into those energies that are going on.
I think a lot of us still actually have that. When we're going through something or we're in a bad situation, most of the time, the majority of us will go into what I like to call warrior mode. The
Right.
guard, the protect, the sword, the shield of armor. Here we go, type situation going on. So a lot of us do have that, but some won't. And that's another trait I found through this. I was reading this book, but another trait that I found was when individuals have been hurt too much, they can't help but laugh when somebody else gets hurt. It's like a fear reaction. It comes out as laughter because when they see the violence, it scares them. So rather than running scared, some individuals will laugh at the situation.
When I was in therapy, and right when I got done with a bad relationship with the guy who was living with me, stealing money, and
Yeah.
I pulled my sword on him and I chased him around. I'm like, this is where I need to get a male therapist. And he would have it where I would have to look at a brown wall so that, I was focusing on myself.
Right.
But he said I had two different types of laughter. So the laughter was like to fit in,
Right.
or I was always put down. And so it's almost like to be accepted, that laughter, or I had my real laughter, which is myself.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting how we do these coping mechanisms or acceptance or
Exactly.
fit it in of whatever is going on.
That's exactly what it is. We all cope with things differently. I think a lot of people, according to society, will feel that it's okay for a female to have to like go on guard to protect herself or cry when she's upset. Now, a male automatically goes on guard, but if he shows too much emotion in public when he gets upset, that again, we're going back in my father's era. It's can't be done because then they're too feminine, and that was a lot how a lot of individuals like around our age just kind of grew up. You can't do that, that's too feminine. You can't do that, that's too feminine. Especially the father son type thing. So it made it where some males don't know how to communicate their feelings because they weren't allowed to feel them.
Well,
Where
females too.
versus a female, majority of the times, majority, not everybody,
Majority. Yeah.
but majority of the time, a female was allowed to feel. A male was not. I mean, that doesn't, it's not 100% either way, but that's the way the majority was actually running.
Well, and that's why I let my son, feel whatever he needs to do. He's into
Yeah.
like My Little Ponies, and there was a
Yeah.
at the bus stop. It was interesting because there was like this 16-year-old. He had a pride shirt on. He was Native
Right.
American, and we got into talking.
Right.
Mom's disabled, and then he was like talking about the My Little Pony, and one of the little ponies is a shapeshifter, you know. And
Nice.
I was asking Travis because Travis would earn his ponies when he was 14, and
Oh,
he had
wow.
like 6 of them on there. He still has them on the shelf. One time
Right.
I got really mad with somebody that was living here and him, and I started throwing all of his ponies on the floor. It's like, how does it feel? Because I had all my stuff destroyed.
Yeah.
But it was just we have those moments where we lose it, or we're
Yeah.
trying to teach, or whatever it is that's going on. I didn't destroy any of them. I
Right.
just threw them off the shelf.
Right.
My dad would just take my stuff and throw it away. You
Ah.
know, so a lot of it, and part of what I was in therapy is I had a fear of like I would build something and things would be taken away. And it's like if there's something that I want, or even my daughter was taken away. And
Right.
when I had that spiritual astrology book, that was for the solar and the lunar, is losing stuff, my car,
Right.
all these things that are going on, and just to stay calm on all the things that are happening. So people get upset. My sister would get upset over little things. She came in my house one time and she walked in the door. I had a crystal ball and I had a black obsidian wand that I
Right.
used for acupressure. Within 30 seconds, she took the ball, she took the wand, she took it over to the couch. The ball rolled over on the thing and broke the other one in half
Oh.
within like 30 seconds. Uh, and then she would get mad about claiming I put mustard on her outdoor furniture. These
Yeah.
it's like when people have storms, they don't worry about the rain. And I think that's happens like, oh, really? You get to the point of it's almost like normal with these things.
Yeah, with my youngest, his father died when he was a baby, so he needed a way to vent. So I got a hold of one of those, those tall, lifelike dummies that you can punch in order for
Oh, yeah.
helping him to get out aggression. So I got him some boxing gloves. I even took boxing lessons for a bit. And I taught him that because it was easier because there was nobody around. So I taught him, okay, punch this just to try to get, your aggression out. Just get it out. And then when you're calm, come upstairs and talk. And I've always taught my kids that what happens is like if you don't know what to do, you don't know how to actually word something, just come up to me and say, I need to vent. After you vent it out, then we're going to go back and I'm going to teach you the correct way to say it. Because I've always kind of taught him that way how to do things. Hello, Mr. Odell.
Hello, Howie.
Ed's in the house. So as far as that aspect, that's the way that I taught him. So there was a lot of different things. His father was gone, my father was gone, so there was like no male figure around for him.
Right.
So it was a little difficult. So he had like a male boxing trainer, and every time he went into a sport, there was always a male involved. I got him like the big brother type thing, anything that would have like a male around him, so he would have that male bonding type energy. Plus, he had older brothers, so he wasn't like just surrounded by women, but he did have all older brothers and one older sister. Oh my gosh, today. If I could ever stop yawning for the past 3 days, that's all I've done.
Just
Nonstop.
readjusting.
Huh?
Just readjusting.
3 days. My stomach is so full. So, yeah, today we're just talking about kind of
Seems to
like,
be like the family or
yeah,
family roles seems to be like
yeah,
our thing. We don't ever. It's like Susan's letting everything go, but we just started in on this whole family role thing and how it affects us and
yeah, it
what we
does. I
do.
mean, psychologically, a lot of times things that happen when we're younger affects how we act or react when we get older. Now, when we get older, when something traumatic happens on top of something negative as a child, that's going to cause a severe reaction compared to somebody that didn't have like I call double jeopardy. It was just all in this book I was reading. So
And
I
what's the
just,
name of the book that you read,
you know
Susan?
what? It's on my Kindle and it died and it's charging. So I get a lot
Oh,
of free books on my Kindle. So I'll run across, I'll say, it sounds interesting. So I start
well,
reading. Sometimes I don't know the name of it. But yeah, it's a pretty, interesting concept. It's like this individual was throwing in the whether or not we were psychologically abused, how we act if we were physically abused. Then to that he was adding whether we were the oldest child, the middle child, or the youngest child syndrome. And on top of that, he's adding in dimensional shifts. Okay, so he's adding all of these things up together to help you feel like more comfortable within
you
your
talking about
own
the book you're
skin.
reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's for us to feel more comfortable within our own skin, because some of us will just be like, why do I act this way? Why do I act that way? Like individuals that have seen too much violence sometimes will have a tendency to laugh. Why do they laugh when people get hurt? Because they don't want to remember. So it just brings up this scared type of laughter that kind of comes out. It's something that actually happens, and others they'll react differently, and then others, they won't. And some people won't ask for help either. That's the other thing. If they've had issues, they do not know how to ask for help.
Well, then they do the passive aggressive,
Yeah.
where they might do something on the side type of thing.
Yeah.
So, you got to teach people sometimes it's okay to communicate because they don't want to be a burden or they feel guilty or
Exactly.
they
That's
get
part of
angry.
it. Yes.
You
That's
know,
definitely part of it. Marcy looks like she's falling asleep like me today. I swear,
no,
is anybody else felt tired for 3 freaking days already?
I'm okay. It's just I had a there was a lot happening that I'm now finally, like I said, it's when I finally got my car and
Yeah.
I waited at the DMV and I'm talking to Travis about all this because it's like almost like when I talk to Travis now, it's almost like normal, like, oh, the car got stolen, because it's like we're so used to like these screwed up things. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like, oh my God, is it Thursday again? Yeah, car got stolen. It's Thursday
so
again.
it's
This
just
is
a matter of
bad.
both, like oh, the car got stolen, or this is happening, because you get to the point, and I'm watching different TV shows where it's like, when you have these things happen, it's like the storm, but then we get used to anything little. It's like, oh, okay, compared
Yeah,
to all
and
the other
that's
stuff that goes
that's
on.
that's good and bad at the same time, because
Right.
that puts us in this danger mode where we're accepting the negative things that are coming to us rather than trying to get back to the positive. But you can't control the negative. No, you can control how you react to it. Yes. So it's good and bad in the same way when people react like that. It really is. It's got its good points and its bad points. It's really tough. I mean, you don't want to go all the time, because that just brings in a bunch of negative. But if you're like, it's the same thing. If you acknowledge a bully,
You've learned the boundaries. It's like
yeah,
there was a woman at Baldini's named Mitch, and Mitch would go on her drama about her cancer.
right,
And then she had her dog with her, and I couldn't remember the dog's name, and she'd have everything wiped around. And then I went out to dinner with a couple other people. They were doing upstairs at Baldini's, and I'm like, "Do you know Mitch?" And she goes, "Yeah, she got kicked out, this or that or whatever's going on." Well, all of a sudden, it's like, and my phone got hacked, as you guys know. Well, all of a sudden, I got this text from this person about how this is happening, and her dog died, and all this other stuff that was going on, and and I'm like, "Who is this?" It turns out it was Mitch. And she was like, really insulted. Remember, you did a tarot reading for me in the casino, and this is my dog, and and then part of me is like, I'm not going to get into that energy.
right,
I'm not going to tell her I'm at Baldini's. I'm a millionaire. I mean, she would literally be all night playing.
yeah,
But I'm like, it's funny how the choices about, all I wrote back was, I'm sorry your dog died. I didn't go into
right,
all of her what's going on with her. I wasn't even sure if she was alive or dead or not, you
right.
know. And then they get insulted when we don't remember. But it's like, part of us doesn't want to remember because you're so full of negativity or whatever. We block it out.
Exactly.
And then they get us, why aren't you remembering me?
Okay, so here goes back into the dimensional shift thing.
We're
Good
back to
point.
thinking again.
Now, do we not remember some things because we choose not to remember the negative, or because we shifted? Could be one or the other. It's a
We just
catch
don't match
22.
that stuff anymore. And remember, the cognitive brain, when we are stressed out, it takes away our memory.
Exactly.
And so it may not be like we're choosing not to remember. We could have been going through a lot at that particular time in our life,
Right.
and our memory just blocks it out. I don't remember most of my childhood. I have to remind it, like, do you remember such and such? No, you know. So whatever our state of mind is, we'll remember what we said, or things are
Right.
blurted out that we're not even aware that we were saying. You know, it's just whatever. Was it our adult child that's coming through? Is it our adult? Is it our child? You know, or is it the parent? We don't know what
Exactly.
the other aspects are blurting out of that are coming out in the state of mind that we were in, and what we hadn't processed or worked through, reacting versus responding.
Exactly.
You know?
And sometimes what will happen is, if an individual has been through something which is too traumatic for them, they emotionally block it out.
Right.
They
That's our
might
public record.
remember it, but the emotional aspect of it is so closed down because they don't want to feel it. So it will make them appear numb.
Well, and that's all part of the. This other book that I read, it was too long, but I remember they were calling it, when we're overloaded, it's called gating, and our broad body just shuts it down. And
Yes.
I've noticed that a lot of the people that I've worked on and that I've helped, and that, I'm like, okay, well, they seem whatever it is going on. They get to a point, and when we get to the point of stress, we get apathy. We don't care. Our body
Right.
just can't handle anymore. It's like
Exactly.
we're full. And
Exactly.
so they've turned it around where, I had this problem or I had that problem or whatever. I'm sitting there helping you out, but you're
Right.
turning around like you're doing me a favor by letting me help you, and
Right.
it's all that part of their reality not wanting to be shaken, that cognitive
Exactly.
dissonance. And they work so hard to protect that world that if they lose it, what's going to happen? It's back to being out of control.
Exactly. Linda Nielsen says sometimes, sometimes psychologically, we may want to remember, we may not want to remember. It can be a way of protecting ourselves, and we're not aware of it. And she continues to say, and it can also be that new memories have overwritten the old ones.
Right.
However, our bodies and our cells hold those memories, which can be problem. Yeah, it can be. And that's the issue of like why we react certain ways to certain things. I mean, I have this attitude now because of my life where if there's drama outside, it's not my monkey, not my circus, I'm walking away.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to listen to this one did that one did this, because I graduated high school a long time ago. I have no issue in getting involved in drama. I don't like drama. I'd rather walk away from drama. And I choose to stay in a more, namaste, placid type of atmospheres where I choose. So I think as I got older as an adult, and some of you might recognize this as well, we kind of choose ourselves. And part of that will make us sometimes look selfish, but we are choosing us, who we are,
We're choosing
protecting
boundaries.
ourselves because we've paid our dues, we've done our time, we've had our drama. Now we want to have that calmness, that unity, that relaxation, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, we need those boundaries, but our brain might not remember stuff,
Right.
but our cells in our body
Yep.
remember stuff.
Yep.
So we might react by trigger, but we not know why,
Yes.
because the other parts of ourselves remembers that pain,
Right.
but the brain just shuts it down and like,
Exactly.
I don't remember that. I'm like, well, why am I reacting to certain smell, and why am I,
Exactly. It's
doing
like
all the other stuff that's
PTSD.
wrong?
They had PTSD, individuals with PTSD. They will react differently to certain sounds. I mean, if somebody's been to war and they hear fireworks, it's just they're gonna jump. If people who were in a neighborhood where they heard gunshots all the time and had to duck, the first thing they're gonna do if they hear a car backfire is think it's a gunshot and duck. So it's the way that things are reacting. Or if somebody gets mad at a woman or a female that have been abused by a partner in the past, they're gonna like kind of like back away type thing because of that physical abuse. So, and it's like they might not realize or even realize they're doing it, but like Linda said and like you said, it's a part of our DNA, a part of our cell work that we don't understand because we choose not to remember. Either we choose not to, or it's just been completely blocked.
Well, it also could be
Yeah.
like genetic DNA. It's like they've had study with worms
Yeah.
and birds where it's like, or mice, that some will have to the grandmother, and then the third generation will react or not go near certain things. So
Right.
there's almost like, it's almost like when I do my healing work, they were saying you're healing 7 generations
Right.
because all that DNA is carried over. We
Yeah,
don't
it
know
is.
why we're
Like
responding to it.
ancestral cords too.
Yeah.
Some of us will have those ancestral type cords. Yeah, it's all energy based. But as far as us as individuals in this lifetime, it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to figure out why the hell did I do that way type situation.
And
Or
it's
how
so
come I know how
simple.
to do this? You know?
When I used to be on Aranum, when I did like my readings and they would type in and the whole
Yeah,
thing like that, I would like run to go to the casino. You
right.
know, I joke around when I'd have a whole thing of candy, and I flashed on my father sitting in his recliner, you know, and yelling, and it took me a long time to be comfortable in my house because there was always that fight or flight energy that was going on,
Right.
and we don't know why we have those certain things. Or when I took the rebirthing class, even the womb people had memories of painful births or whatever is going on, and they had to work it through. I had like these women screaming, you know, whatever is releasing. And so even our cellular memory remembers everything in the womb, in the past lives, in our childhood, and we
Right.
start our blocks even in infancy, and we don't know why, but it's almost like that fight or flight energy that goes on.
But there are certain individuals that will remember past lives.
Oh yeah,
Like I forget where it was. I don't know
I
if it was on
remember mine.
TV or if it was Facebook or the news or something. I don't know. It could have been an article I read. I don't remember. But a little boy that even know who his wife was and wanted to go visit her gave his
Right.
mother the address.
Yeah,
His wife is an older woman. He's a little boy.
right. There's
So
people that have gone to their houses. They got one of the guys was an engineer of Titanic, and knew
right.
exactly where it is. It's like he's like a boy about 11 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was going on, and so it again, it's back to that memory or energy. I'm going in circles. Why am I always going in circles? You know, and then the Native
Yeah.
Americans don't know why. Whatever it is, we have certain things that are going on.
Exactly. Like individuals that move around a lot. Evidently, I think I've discovered a couple of them that do move around constantly. They were gypsies in one of their
Oh
lifetimes,
yeah,
so
I
they
can never
still
take
have
care.
that gypsy mentality of staying on the move.
I still do. I
Yeah,
bought more cars with the camper shells, you know, and then this one lady was really neat. She was a Lyft driver. She makes vans that people stay in for like two
right.
25 a night,
Oh
and
wow.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to stop myself like not getting another van. I mean, I did get a new car. I got a Lexus 2005, but I'm going, it has to have a hatchback. And my son's like, why? I said, because to put stuff in. There's still that
Oh
part that
yeah.
we still have to get.
Yep. Good point here. Chris says, so likewise, if somebody has an air of entitlement, is that holds over from a wealthy, privileged past? It could, yes, it really could. But the trick is to try to establish, okay, this is where it came from.
Right.
Okay, past life regressions, those are really good things to do. I've been through a past life meditation before. I probably could do one. Like I said, it's been a while, and I think we talked about this before. But what it does is it brings up the past lives. And if you recognize your past lives, who you were, you kind of understand certain things. In one of my lives, I was a gypsy. I did move around a lot. Oh, where'd Marcy go? Oh, I have no idea. There you went.
Yeah, it says internet lost connection. We might have been warm Tuesday.
That's all right. We got 1 minute left anyway.
I
So,
know.
yeah, we
So I
got one
hope this
minute left.
helped everybody help figure out why they do stuff. Because
Yeah.
once they know, it's like they have a thing of dots, and that's information. But when you put the dots together, it's knowledge. And
Yes,
so it's really good when you put all that. It's like, oh, okay. And then
exactly.
they trigger, and it's like, okay, I need to step back and not
process.
react to
Why
that
am
way.
I processing it this way? Because in another life, you could have been that. You could have been a king. You could have been a queen. You could have been a court jester. I mean, that's why you were a class clown. That you never know. That you could have
Right.
been many different aspects in a past life that would cause you to react this way. So, oh my goodness, what do I have to say? Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the Rift Nation Network. It's an awesome place to be. We have really, really good shows, more good shows coming up. And stay tuned for what do we have? We have the Orion Effect this Sunday. Don't forget to check that our show out. It's a pretty amazing deal. And I'm gonna say peace out, guys. I'm Susan. Anything, just peace, Marci. All set? It was a pretty wild show. Thank you
And
very
let
much.
this trigger stuff so people
Yeah.
can work it through,
Yeah.
and then release it. It's a freedom.
Yep. It really is. Some of my life is free, and some of it right now feels like I have wings and I could fly. Bye, guys. Good night.
All right, guys.
Peace out.